is ready.
I bet. Yeah, everybody, we live on YouTube. So go ahead and share that on YouTube link, on your social media, whether you're on Facebook, IG, or Twitter, share the link.
No, it's okay. I'll be in here.
All these dope people on here. We got to get this word out. Terrain, what's up, brother?
What's good, my man?
How you feeling? How you feeling?
I'm good, brother. Good. Just trying to stay calm, man, and stay inside and keep away from you, just and be safe. How about y'all?
Oh man, same thing, bro. Dodging that death sentence. Yeah, I was in the barbershop, right? This dude was like, he said he gave the best analysis of COVID I ever heard.
What'd he say?
He said COVID is like a death sentence.
Yeah, man, it's real. It's real. In Atlanta, man, it's crazy, man. It's like they got these guidelines out in the city, but some people paying attention, some people not.
Right.
People still clubbing, they can have it though.
Yeah, they can. Over there, right?
Yeah, that way. Yeah. All right, it's 10 after. I don't want to hold nobody too long. For me, it felt like we're starting off a Zoom family reunion right now.
Yeah. It's beautiful to see, man.
It is. So I guess first and foremost, we should do some introductions, at least on the organization side. So my name is Tori Russell. I'm the mission director of the IBFA, the International Black Freedom Alliance. I guess into the box to the left, to the right of me is, go ahead, Travis.
Yeah, what's up, y'all? I go by Hood Scholar, government name Travis Harris. I'm the Director of Political Education for the International Black Freedom Alliance. Glad to be on this call and glad to get free.
Mama Julia, somewhere at the bottom.
I'm sorry.
Okay. And Mama Julia,
There she go.
Yes.
can do her own
Hello,
introduction.
everybody. I'm Mama Julia Davis, the Director of Black Power for the International Black Freedom Alliance.
What's up, Mama Julia?
Hello.
So I just want to give context for the call and kind of lay out how we're gonna kind of flow on this thing, so that we all have an understanding of why we're here. Through conversations probably over the last couple months, especially through this year, we really thought about how do we really understand for one another what really happened and giving each other perspective. So me and Travis like, yo, let's hit some people up. Let's have a conference call and let's talk about really what this year meant for Black people and organizing. I know for us as an organization, to me, 2020 has been bad because of life. People have died. My own mother spent 51 days battling COVID this year. Thankfully, she made it through, and so I'm happy about that. But I had cousins and homeboys who passed, who didn't make it. But I also saw leaps and bounds in people organizing. Mama Julia, she did some amazing things. I see Brother Heru is on here. To me, Brother Heru, he make me the most proud. To me, it really almost bring tears to my eyes. And then when I reached out to other people from across the country, like Natasha on the other side of the state, and Preston on the other side of the country, and Kalila, and we all kind of had the same thought. And so we was like, let's have a call so we can really talk about what it was to deal with COVID, police brutality, a housing crisis, being broke as hell this year. Democrats and Republicans playing with, $600, $1,200, $2,000 checks. The election, people told you if you didn't vote, you was gonna die. I ain't vote, and I ain't dead. That's probably gonna make some people mad.
That's right.
But we also wanted to document it And so we have people from at least 12 different cities on this call. I was strategic. We didn't want to just ask the same kind of activists or organizers. We want to have a wide variety of people and giving their own perspectives. Because sometimes we get caught in this movement bubble. If it didn't happen in a protest and a march in the street, it didn't happen in the movement. And so we have to have a multifaceted, intergenerational, intercommunal, but a strategic and solution-based movement. And so with the 12 City Zone, we're gonna confine it to 5 minutes. So each person is gonna have a 5-minute spiel. They can talk about whatever. Say, just state your name, state where you from, give your own identification of how you identify, be it pronouns, be it as a title, organizer, whatever that is. And then we're gonna open it up for a few questions of Q&A. We're gonna have 30 seconds. So if you asking a question, we're gonna try to look in the stack of the chat. You got 30 seconds to say your question, and then you got a minute as the presenter to respond. I see some people got some notebooks out. I like that. What you're gonna hear in my background, you're gonna hear some kids in the background celebrating Kwanzaa in a way they ain't never got the opportunity to. And so I'm proud of that most. And so Travis has the lineup.
Yeah, I got the lineup.
If Mama Julia would like to say anything before we start to ground us and center us and move us in a way that is most powerful as the director of Black Power, I would definitely welcome that.
Yeah, go ahead, Mama Julia.
Please. She skip off too.
Mama Julia,
Yeah, she switched.
Well, I'll just jump in and say, shout out to our mission director, but he left out. He actually had COVID too. And me and him talk all the time, but I still remember we actually had like a reflection call after another call we was on, and somebody was like, they didn't go outside because it was COVID. And I looked at him like, yo, like, we get it, but the question is, what do you want to, what are the steps that you're willing to take to get free? Right? That's what I want you to think about. And that's when it starts to get real, right? When going outside means you might actually get COVID. But if you don't go outside, you stay in, then police brutality will continue to win. But Mama Julia, you have some words for us?
I'm trying to get this thing set up right. How y'all doing?
Man.
I'm the director of Black Power for the International Black Freedom Alliance. I'm glad to be here. I'm glad to see all of you beautiful places on this day of Kuji Shagulia. We celebrate Kwanzaa around here, and so far it's been really good. As far as organizing goes, I did take a little break out. I'm writing a couple of books. I'm getting some editing work done, and it's been keeping me really, really busy lately. So I haven't done a whole lot lately. My last organizing event was for our prosecuting attorney here, Miss Kimberly Gardner, and our treasurer, who is now running for mayor. So I'm gonna try to get something together to help with that. In the meantime, I'm doing whatever I can on behalf of our people. And I know that all of you all are doing the same thing, which is what makes it that much more powerful about being in this Black space with you all. So I don't have much other than that.
No, that's good, Mama Julia. We appreciate you and your work. And so then what we're gonna do is I'm basically going to MC this joint. Everybody going like Tori said, y'all, since there's so many people we got to get through, Please try to keep it to 6 minutes. Ideally, we can finish in an hour because 10 people, 6 minutes, around an hour. So please try to keep it to 6 minutes. So we're gonna start off with Natasha. You ready?
Yep, I can go first.
All right, cool, Natasha. Let's start it off with you.
Well, hey everybody. Thanks for having me here. I am an attorney and I'm from St. Louis. I started doing social justice work at a very young age. My uncle was killed by St. Louis County Police when I was 17. He was 29. And even before that, I had a sibling who had got like beaten by that same police department. And so I kind of understand the hurt and pain that the whole country is going through because my family went through it when I was very, very young. So I went to law school, immediately started doing a law camp to help people in the community pretty much understand the law and see how they could create change. And my main thing, I do it under this thing called Just Us system. My main thing is that we don't have to wait for the government or for rich people or for celebrities or for whatever to make change. It's just us. And if we really want to do it, we can do it. And so I had a lot of people who I had kids that were foster kids or maybe went through some bad adoptions. Maybe their parents are incarcerated. Maybe their parents were killed by police brutality. So I'm really like, that's why I like the title of this, because it's talking about grassroots. Like I do stuff like on the grassroots level, like community to person. This year has been the craziest year as far as, not really, honestly, if we go back to 2014, that was probably the craziest year. I'm not gonna lie. But this is the second craziest year, because like on May 25th, when they killed George Floyd and everything happened in every single city in America, it was insane. Right now, I have a law firm here called the Scruggs Law Firm. We immediately started representing protesters pro bono. But the representation it was more than just going to court for these people, which we got all the cases dismissed. It was being on the ground and actually helping them navigate, because Kansas City Police Department was doing a lot of unconstitutional things. They were breaking a lot of protocols. It was a lot. I mean, it was videos going viral of them, like they were using tear gas when they wasn't supposed to, just doing a whole bunch of crazy stuff. So basically being on the ground this year, and I had a lot of attention on me, which I really didn't before. That kind of made me hyper aware. One of the organizers that is basically, we've been organizing in Kansas City, I would say every day since maybe May 26th, if I'm getting that date right. There was a like a, I don't know what to call it, a lock-in. Basically, there was an occupying of downtown where City Hall is, where the court is, and where the police department was. So there was a lot of different things going on. One of the organizers, KJ, she went viral. So a lot of our videos went viral. KJ, I know people probably saw her video. She was talking to a bunch of people that were in Kansas City, like city officials, police people, things like that. And basically trying to get the police chief fired, Rick Smith, which it hasn't happened yet. Trying to defund the police, that really hasn't happened yet. But there has been little steps. So I'm just here to listen to everybody, to be a student. I don't pretend to know everything. I just stay true to what I am and what I do, which is I am a prison abolitionist. I do believe in the dismantlement of the institution of prison, the prison industrial complex, police in general, all of that. So I work every day to do my part for that to happen. And basically I help activists that are going to jail, because people did go to jail almost every day, especially in the beginning, try to help those people to get out pro bono. So that's pretty much how I contribute.
Yeah, that's really good. 'Cause, the other part of the story is Tori got COVID actually from being locked up, and I got locked up too, and I came to St. Louis I can't remember. We came to another part. So I saw firsthand what they was doing in Missouri. And so thank you so much for sharing that. Anything else you want to get in before we go to the next person?
No, I think that's it. If we circle back around, I probably have some.
All right. Thank you, Natasha. All right, so cool. So next, please forgive me if I mispronounce your name, but Kalila?
Perfect. That was perfect.
All right, good.
Yes. Thank you all. Thank you for inviting me. Thank you, Tori, for bringing Louisville's voice onto this call. I'm Kalila Collins. I call myself a social justice practitioner. I'm a social worker by trade, but an organizer by experience. So I call myself a social justice practitioner. And I am from Louisville, Kentucky, the home of the greatest Muhammad Ali, but also the home of Breonna Taylor, who was murdered on March 13th. And so, although I'm from Louisville, I currently live in New Orleans, and that's important because this is how I ended up in this space today, even though I'm in New Orleans. Natasha mentioned, the response on May 26th, and being an organizer from Louisville, having done a lot of work around anti-poverty, anti-racism, human rights organizing for years, I thought if any city could handle Breonna Taylor's case and, shine a light on or bring light to police brutality in a different way, I thought it was going to be Louisville, because we have a strong organizing community there. And so George Floyd was killed on May 26th. On May 28th, we finally got all the organizers, or most of the organizers, in the room together, and in a Zoom together rather. And we had a call that morning, and we talked about, okay, well, your expertise is this, and you are working on the Breonna's law. You work on, mutual aid, direct aid stuff, so you can do this. And we were like parceling out the work that needed to happen around Breonna Taylor's case. That was 10 o'clock on the 28th. By 3 o'clock that afternoon, the police had released the 911 call that Kenneth Walker made. And I think the city knew that we had to respond in a different way than we normally responded. And people took to the streets on May 28th. Now, again, I'm in New Orleans, and I sat here for 2 days and I literally played comms for my friends and my comrades in Louisville. Like, they were literally going through me to figure out who's where, what's going on, because cell service was rattled and whatever. And I just couldn't sit here any longer. So just like I sat in my house on August 13th, 2014, and said, I can't sit here. I gotta go. 2 days later, I was in Ferguson, and the same thing happened here. I sat here for 2 days, and on May 30th, I had to go home, because I couldn't sit by and watch what was happening there. And it's funny because it wasn't so much me as it was my kids who knew my history and my experience. And they were like, I know you're going home, right? And I was like, no, I ain't going. They're like, all right, we going home. And so when I got home, again, me being from Louisville and knowing my city, I'm like, okay, this is cool. We're going to be there. We have a curfew. It's going to be fine, whatever. And so I got in town at 7 o'clock. Our curfew was at 9 o'clock. I said, I got 2 hours to get on the ground, see where folks are, see what's going on. I parked my car and immediately started choking from the tear gas. So 2 hours before the curfew, they were already tear gassing and shooting at us. And my mind automatically went back to my first night of the curfew in Ferguson. And so all of that stuff kicked in for me. And as someone who had been organizing different things, different fronts for years, Ferguson really was different in all that I've done before. And this was very much reminiscent of that for me. And so I had all this we got to do. Here's what we need to do now. Remember when we went to Ferguson and they had this, community space where they were loving on each other. We're gonna do this, we need to have respite, we need to do that. And by my second day there, the police had killed someone else. So-called in response to the riots. I don't call it a riot, I call it an uprising, but that they called it riots. And so that put another layer of stuff on what we had going on in Louisville. But even through all of that, 214 days later, we are still organizing on multi-fronts. We are still doing our disruption stuff, our protesting, our bodies on the line kind of things. We're still moving towards looking at policy and political changes. We passed Breonna's law early June. And on the city level, which bans no-knock warrants. Somebody, I think you mentioned about, COVID being, this thing that might kill us if we go out the door, but a no-knock warrant killed Breonna the day that COVID really took hold of this country, right? And so it really let us know in that moment we can't be safe even in our homes. And so I think that one thing that I've been saying is all of this time is how the world or the people of the world are literally trying to kill Black people. And I saw that early on with COVID being disproportionately impacting Black folks. And then you continue to do things that call us out to the streets to further endanger our lives, right? So yeah, we know it's not safe to be in the streets right now, to walk side by side somebody, to be protesting, to be occupying spaces and putting up tents and, eating out of shared community, shared food and those things. But like you asked us early from the beginning, what would you do to get free? And so for me, that was the thing. And it's funny because I'll go to Louisville for 3 or 4 weeks, come home for a week or two, and go back and forth. And I literally, where I'm sitting right now, when I'm in New Orleans, this is where I am. I don't leave my house. I order my groceries, all of those different things. When I'm in Louisville, I'm in the streets, I'm on the ground, and I don't even think about, I think about Black liberation. So for me, it's hard to think about the alternatives, right? And so, sitting in the house isn't an option for me. So when I got to Louisville, I'm like, well, I can't stay here forever. I only got 3 days to be here. I gotta go home on Monday. So what can I do to support from New Orleans? And so we developed Louisville's Political Education for Liberation, which is a political education component. We knew that, when people respond in that way, when they responded to George Floyd and to Breonna Taylor, you're gonna have a whole onslaught of new leadership that's developed or that comes out of nowhere. And so what happens is, me again being this old aunt, now they call me auntie, being this old auntie, I'm like, what do these young folks need to be in these streets, right? Because I'm like, oh, you can't do this, you shouldn't be doing this. And I didn't want to, start wagging my finger at them. The education component to support all our new leadership. And so that's ongoing. That's been going on since the middle of June. Again, like I said, Breonna's law was passed. Education component was developed. We've been doing work on Breonna's law statewide because no-knock warrants are not banned statewide, even though we've seen other states do it before Kentucky, which is a slap in the face. We're continuing to do the directed mutual aid of feeding people, housing people, and giving people resources and what they need. And so we're trying to figure out ways to concretize that with the bricks and mortar space to continue to do the work that our government elected officials, refuse or continue not to do. And so we're trying to put those things in place to take care of our people. So yeah, I think that's, and going back to Natasha, what you said about, we've had over almost 800 people go to jail over the last 214 days. So that bail support and that representation, legal representation is really important to us. We've also lost 3 people. We've lost 2 organizers and a protester over the last 214 days. So it's been a long a long few
I'm
months for
sorry.
Louisville,
Can you
but
say their names, please? Can you all just
sorry.
can you say their names?
Yes. So we lost David McAtee on day 3 of the protest. He was killed by the National Guard. We lost Tyler Girth, who was a protester and a reporter, was killed at the occupation. We lost Travis Nagdi, which was somebody who just came off the porch, just young and energetic, ready to go, and in 6 months turned into like our leader. And then we also lost Chris Rock. So he was murdered. So yes, those are our people, and we've thank you for making me do that, Tori. Thank you for reminding me to do that. So but again, thank you all. I'm really excited to hear from y'all's experiences and what you all have been through, because as it's gotten cold, we need to be innovative and think of new ideas and ways to build and grow, because we are seeing ourselves wane a little bit. We're tired. It's been intense, an intense 8 months. So
Appreciate you coming out.
thank you.
Yeah, I pulled up to Louisville. I stayed there for about 5, almost 6 weeks. Like I said, after my mama had COVID, I went to Louisville and I got COVID in Louisville jail. And so that COVID thing is real. When I got to Louisville, I knew people, so I was good. And I was like, yeah, they've been in Ferguson. Yeah, but it wasn't just being in Ferguson don't mean that you learn all the lessons. And everybody in Louisville didn't go to Ferguson. So, and you'll hear from other people that's from St. Louis and from Ferguson. Everybody don't get the same lessons and everybody don't move out the same way. So yeah, appreciate you, Kalila. Who we got?
Hey, I'm next. Peace, everybody. My name is Angel Alicea. I'm the founder of the Black Inmate Commissary Fund. We were founded on June 4th of 2020, in which we raised $50,000 and redistributed that to people who are incarcerated, well, specifically Black people who are incarcerated, families affected by mass incarceration, and the Black people who are formerly incarcerated. So in total, with that $50,000, we were able to assist 500 people on the inside who are incarcerated. And from there, we created our organization and created programming for this work to be sustainable. So now we bring in about $2,300 a month through individual donors. And we have people who are incarcerated. One of our, what we say insiders just to make it easier, but one of our insiders is serving like 125 years. We have an elder who was just released from doing a 30-year bid. So those are the folks that we're supporting when it comes to mutual aid on a sustainable basis as of right now while the funding grows. I guess I can report back that we've just had some issues with like being in contact with our folk because for the most part, the prison system, if it's privatized, well, we're based in Atlanta, but we service the entire southeastern region. And what I like to call the Chitlin Circuit, or what other folks may call like the chain gang states. So we're up against some really intense prisons here. And when it comes to the wardens and the officials that we are trying to get in contact with so that we can make a larger impact. In 2021, we will be rolling out a few different programs. We'll have Deeper Than Ink, which is an art program for formerly incarcerated people who have an interest in tattooing. And they'll get trained by a formerly incarcerated tattoo artist here in Atlanta named Jay Snow. We'll have our Hit Us Up, which will be matching our insiders with Black mental health professionals. And once a week, they'll have an opportunity to call them for free to get some coping mechanisms while on the inside. And our biggest rehabilitation thing that we have done to date is our restoration and reparations program. And what we do is we provide gourmet food for people. They can come and shower. They can come and get fresh washed, gently used clothes. They're able to come and get legal advice, drug rehabilitation support, and mental health support, along with COVID testing, sexual health testing, and free haircuts and hairdos. And as of right now, we're in SWATS, which is Southwest Atlanta, just because that's where the location is, but we try to make sure that we service the entire Atlanta area. We do have a book program in which we don't accept donated books, but we match up donors with an insider and have them provide the list, or have them provide the books that are on the wish list of the insider. With that being said, like I was saying before, we're having some issues just having basic connections to our folks because of the pushback from inside of the prisons here. So since we launched in June, we've only been able to get one person the books that they've wanted. And it's just because right now prison book policy is just kind of like, you know, whoever is at the desk that day, they can approve. So there's no real law to it, but we do know that they're trying to prevent books that they would consider that would maybe incite a riot. So of course, like Black revolutionary knowledge, things that would skill our people up on knowing their rights on the inside. And because we faced that, we created our own interactive resource guide that we've been able to get to some folks on the inside, and that we do, we give away the digital copy and we have hard copies. But what's inside of it is we have know your rights training for people who are incarcerated and formerly incarcerated, and people who might be facing attack by ICE, because we know that Black liberation and Black immigration is a thing, and I think that that gets looked over a lot. So we have to make sure that we uplift Black undocumented people in all of our work, and look at the detention of undocumented people as a form of mass incarceration. So that's what we have done up to date. I'm trying to make sure that you know, I'm remembering everything. We do have a small staff, and we're all fem-led, with me being the executive director. And I did mention how much we bring in a month, which is like $2,300, and we all get paid the same amount. Sorry about that. Everybody gets paid $325, and we push out a lot of work with that minimal payment. So it's been definitely a revolutionary process to be a part of, and to be here as a young person shaking things up in the South with limited resources, and being able to reallocate what is already ours to the people who we cannot see. I'm very passionate about mutual aid and getting our people, especially those who are incarcerated, that can be met. I would just like to thank each of you for your time and to be invited on this call. And I implore each of you to keep up with us on Instagram at Black Inmates Matter, or you can check out our website, blackinmatesmatter.com. But peace and resistance to each of you.
Yeah, thank you for that. And as we go to Zada, did I say that right?
Zasada.
Zasada, my bad.
It's okay. Or
I just want to say real quick as we transition to you, you all, Black Unity, Umoja. We are recording this is on YouTube, but I hope you all see that everyone is needed for the movement, right? We need people working in the background. We need people working. We need our insiders. We need lawyers. We need people on it. We need everybody. So hopefully that's becoming clear as everybody is making their contributions. All right, turn it over to you.
All right. Habari Gani to our families that celebrate Kwanzaa, and peace and power to the rest of my comrades out there. I'm Zasada. My husband Bomani and I are, I guess you could say, the founders, co-founders of the Mad Activists. It's really not an organization. It's just, we actually started it because we were tired of joining organizations, and we just gonna do this. Whoever's making a difference out there, you're a Mad Activist too. So that's where we're at with that. We're gonna speak from the education aspect of it. After the George Floyd situation, we did get into the fray of things when the uprisings were going on. We found ourselves to be the OGs out there at the protest. That was kind of messed up, but it's all right. But it was kind of / date night for us too. But we did get into that. Ran into a couple of our students' parents down there. So that was great. That was awesome. But just bringing it back to the school part of it, our school, the Uhuru Wakabila School of Liberation, Uhuru Wakabila meaning Freedom Tribe, we're under the Birmingham African Center Homeschool Collective, under that umbrella in Birmingham, Alabama. We have multiple families teaching right now. Even one of our families in Florida, she uses our curriculum. So it's been going really great. We have from really pre-K to high school students. We have 14 students right now. Our youngest one is actually 9 months. Our oldest one is 15. So we just teach on everything. We hit agriculture, political education on every grade level. You can always be politically educated no matter how old you are. That's just, it's a myth if they tell you otherwise. Excuse me. We need to just really get back to our roots as Africans. That's what me and Bomani are on. Like, we need to just be, like I said, educating ourselves. Like Big Mama, she wasn't a college grad, and she raised everybody's child in the family. She could cook, she could sew, she could do all that. Big Daddy was electrician, carpenter, all that. He didn't have to go to, not saying college is bad, but come on, we got to get back to the homeschooling. A lot of our greatest inventors and all of that homeschool. They couldn't go to public school. A lot of them were born at home. They could not be born at the hospital. They had to have a midwife or doula. We need to go back to that as well. Self-defense training. We've been heavy on that this year with our parents and students and just comrades, period. Study groups. That's a big thing. We all need to be studying together. There's no way around that. I mean, we could be in the streets all day we want to, if we don't hit the books. If we don't hit on what our ancestors left us and build on that, we pretty much are going to be stagnant in what we're doing. Political as well as popular education. Me and Bomani are conscious citizens of the provisional government of the Republic of New Africa. We just had our actual elections. Shout out to Samaat. She is the new president of the provisional government, and Mama Ayo is the vice president of the provisional government of the Republic of New Africa right now. So we are definitely ready to do work and ready to nation build internationally, not just here in the States. Let's see. Anything you want to add, Kay?
Yeah, peace. I just want to add, during this COVID shutdown, like my wife said, there was a need to still educate our children. A lot of schools were shut down. A lot of parents didn't know how or what the hell they was going to do with their children, right? And then they came around and said, we're going to do this virtual learning. And what happened, what we seen was that parents depended on the public school to be able to work. That was like their daycare for the children to leave. So now when the children are like forced to do this virtual learning, parents are either forced to stay at home, not able to go make any money to feed themselves, or they're leaving the children at home. And there's a lot of children that aren't registered in school right now. And I don't know if this is across the board in every state, but here, a lot of children are registered. So by us being homeschool parents, we definitely encourage, and we were able to support parents on how to homeschool or how to set up classrooms at your house. And we've offered ourselves too for parents to say, you know what, my child does virtual learning. We need somewhere for them to be, and we've offered ourselves in this time of need. So that's one of the biggest things, and we're still trying to figure out, and we still want to encourage is educating our children at home, or at least educating them in tribe with the people that we trust.
And it's been interesting because our daughter's 10, our boys are 7 and 6. We've been homeschooling our children for 8 years now. So they really didn't have to transition for real as far as the school. They was like, it's the same thing we've been doing anyway. But we have 2 students who are in public school and doing e-learning, and they're in 1st grade, and it's a struggle because just learning that keyboard by itself is a class by itself that they need to have, and the school is totally skipping over that aspect of that, So it's interesting just to get back into the public school setting because we've been out of it for a while. So that's been good to kind of get in there and see, what's going on and what's working and what's not, and how the students and parents are responding to it. But so far, so good. Our parents are satisfied. Our students are learning. They're retaining information about themselves. They're learning about themselves. They don't have to unlearn like we did. Like unlearning is hard enough, and then relearning, we're going to skip all that and just teach them the right thing from jump. So I'm a yield there, but that's where we're at with it.
Yo, I might have to get you to educate my kids.
Hey, send them on. Yeah. We're doing Zoom classes too. We putting that in the mix too. Yes.
Look, both. Mama. Look, I'm gonna tell you right now. At where I work at the Abdul Kamal Foundation, which was founded by a brother and a sister whose son was actually killed by police in New Jersey in 2013. They actually live in St. Louis now, and so they started a foundation here in St. Louis. So they were screaming, "Hey, look, man, y'all, we need to do something different. They killing Black people out here and nobody listened." Then a year later, Mike Brown was killed. And so we got a whole bunch of space, and I know Muhammad, who owns it, who run the foundation, like, yo, I always wanted to get the kids in here. We got a whole bus at the foundation. We got laptops, all of that. And there's so many kids in St. Louis who just out here, ain't registered for no school, mom and daddy at work, they just living. And so like, we become like that place. Like we see kids all the time. And so I'm gonna definitely hit y'all up.
Yes, we would
love drop your information in the chat.
I got one down the hallway that's going.
We sure will. Appreciate y'all. Thank you.
And that's why this call is good because I'm from Richmond, and like where I'm from, like back in my hood, they were saying like it was a huge problem with school absence. And I was like, probably because they don't got no computer to log on, yo. Like, what you mean they not? They probably can't because they like I couldn't afford a computer when I was broke. So if it's happening in Richmond, where y'all in Alabama, in St. Louis, it's probably going on all over the country in our Black communities.
Yeah,
it is.
So this is why y'all work is so important. This is why we want to have this call, and this is why we want to be able to connect people around the country and hopefully around the world, so we can figure out a way to get free.
Ashe.
So thank you. Next, Ty, you ready to go?
Yeah. It's me.
Ty's on you.
Okay. Hey, look, I'm gonna do this before. I met Ty in the jail in Louisville. So that's just, and when I met, I was like, man, this dude, So without further ado, Ty, how do your thing, bro?
Peace, everybody. Thank y'all for letting me come and join y'all and just report out some things that's been going on here in DC. I've been known to get a little wordy, so I'm gonna try to keep it real brief with this. I would just say, much like everybody on this call, have been engaged in really attacking and dismantling white supremacy in all the ways that we can. So I am the founder and director of policy for a group called Concerned Citizens DC, and in conjunction with several of the other grassroots organizations on the ground here in Washington, DC, we've been leading street actions and mutual aids, really getting out and trying to do what we can to not only elevate the narrative of Black empowerment, but to do what we can with the resources that we have to actually actualize that Black empowerment. You know, I am somebody, and it was said earlier on this call, you know, one person will not deliver us on Black liberation, right? I believe that it takes multiple approaches. It takes, you know, having somebody in the policy realm, having somebody that's willing to shut shit down in the streets, right? Like a multiplicity of approaches to really get it done. And so that's what we've tried to do for the entirety of the summer. Um, Anything, like I said, from direct actions to mutual aids to putting out policy proposals. When we talk about the state of affairs here in Washington, D.C., what I can say is that it is all over the place because we have a lot of different fights going on. So one of those fights is the fight for DC statehood, right? DC, if it were to become a state, would be the only majority Black state in the whole United States, the only majority minority plurality in all of the soon to be 51 states. And the reason that it hasn't been a state up until this point is a relic of racism and no other way around it. You know, if they had 700,000 white folks who paid the highest taxes in the country, who, you know, served and had all of the obligations as citizens but none of the same rights, they would have had statehood already. And it's interesting how the statehood conversation has ratcheted up to the loudest that it's been in the past 2 decades since DC's historically Black population has dwindled down to about 46%. So outside of just political implications of that, right, there are sort of actual implications to that. This summer we saw Trump and deploy a National Guard out to DC streets. Because of our lack of DC statehood, we were unable to come to a decision as a locale that we didn't want them to be here. As a result, they were out on the streets, brutalizing us, shooting us with tear gas, rubber bullets, making false arrests, you name it. Now, DC came to the forefront of this movement sort of in the middle of this summer because there were a lot of people that were excited around the Black Lives Matter Plaza that the mayor decided to erect right by the White House, right? And I mean, here in DC, we can tell you that the symbolism didn't mean much shit because on that same street, there were so many young brothers, young sisters, gender non-conforming folks who were harassed by police, who were arrested by police, assaulted by police, brutalized by police. And, you know, so to that end, we've been really just continuing to fight, staying engaged. You know, with us being the capital, we are the launching pad for a lot of these MAGA rallies. So they've had a couple of those the past couple of weeks. Got one apparently coming up on January 6th when they formally do the Electoral College where they're supposed to, Trump had tweeted out it's supposed to be a pretty big thing, you know. So it's like they've been here and pulling up. And, you know, there's been a lot of grassroots organizations, Palm Collective, Freedom Fighters, Occupy DC, who have really been holding their ground. And, you know, what I can say is that as we, you know, move into 2021, the organizers here in Washington, D.C. are focused on moving beyond the symbolic gestures like congressmen and women kneeling in kente cloth, right? Like street signs, right? And really working towards a consolidation of Black power, because I am somebody, and I think I speak for a lot of the other organizers, organizing groups here when I say that I don't believe that you can say that Black lives matter if you are not also working to make sure that Black power matters. And when we talk about Black power, that's the cooperative economics, that is Black political power, that is Black social power. And I think that it starts through a lot of the things that you know what I'm saying, we are currently doing right now, working outside of the system, reminding each other that we are each other's business. You know, the spirit of aggressive individualism that drives capitalism and is the root of a lot of this evil that we're seeing out here is not a Black thing. Black people historically have been a communal people. We hunted together, we lived together, we loved together, and it's time to truly revisit that communal spirit of remembering that we are each other's business. If we are to succeed, we will not win, you know, playing this white man's game. It is up to us instead to take a step back and be deeply committed to reinventing systems that would better serve us. But thank you guys again for letting me do the report out, and humbled to be here with you guys.
Leslie, go ahead, keep that fire going.
I sure will. Grace and peace, everyone. Grace and peace. My name is Leslie E. Redmond, and similar to Ty, I'm actually originally from DC, born and raised. So my parents are born and raised in DC. My grandparents actually all migrated to Washington, DC during a great migration. They were from North Carolina, South Carolina, Houston, Texas. My great grandmother, Lily, was born on a plantation in South Carolina. And so Black liberation is really in my DNA. By trade, I'm an attorney. I have a JD MBA from University of St. Thomas. I actually was in my first time like on the ground protesting was probably about 11 years ago in Washington, D.C. And then I was protesting again in Miami for our brother Trayvon Martin. I was in Minnesota the first year for in 2014. That was when Mike Brown was murdered in Ferguson. Got involved with the local NAACP when Jamar Clark was murdered. So a lot of you heard about Philando Castile, but the fall before Philando Castile was Jamar Clark, and we occupied the 4th precinct for 18 days. So before the burning of the precinct was the occupation, right? This stuff has been building up for a long time coming. And it's so unfortunate that we had to lose our brother George Floyd this summer. And while a lot of things change, a lot of things stay the same, right? It's still a lot of politics as usual. I met Brother Tory in Louisville, Kentucky, when we were on the front lines for Breonna Taylor as well, where I got arrested for the first time in life. Yeah, exactly. For the first time in life with Until Freedom. We just had a big win here. I don't know if you all were following, but we started off the year fighting for a brother by the name of Mayan Burrell. We were the people who actually took Amy Klobuchar out of the presidential election and made her drop out. Mayan Burrell was 16 years old when he was convicted of a life sentence for a crime that he did not do. And Amy Klobuchar for far too long went around patting herself on the back, right, for this incarceration of this young Black brother, saying she was an ally to the community because Taisha Edwards was a young 10-year-old African-American girl who was killed by a stray bullet, which Mayan did not pull the trigger of. And why that's symbolic to me is because I was 10 years old, right? So I could have been Taisha Edwards, and my heart goes out to Taisha Edwards' family, but this was bigger than that, right? And for me, and everybody doesn't agree with me on this. So you all are free to not to agree with me on this. But I felt like it was a moment of redemption, both for Mayan and for Amy Klobuchar. And while I know a lot of people still don't like Amy Klobuchar, we couldn't have got him free without Amy Klobuchar. And I think that it is white people's duty to right their own wrongs, right? Like it shouldn't just be us putting our blood, sweat, and tears on the lines for things that we didn't cause, right? And so we're constantly fighting for reparations. We're constantly fighting. So we got Mayan out. The next brother we're trying to get out name is Philip Vance, who again got a life sentence. So just to put this in perspective, Mayan's been locked up for 17 years. Come April, Philip Vance would have been locked up for 18 years as well. And so he's the next brother that we're trying to get out. I look at us, I don't know if y'all saw I kind of gave a little thing after we got Mayan out, and I said, this is what Harriet Tubman was doing, going back on the plantations and bringing our brothers and sisters home. So I'm really big on that. We're doing a conviction integrity unit. We have our first African-American Attorney General, Keith Ellison. We're going to be trying to help free a lot of brothers and sisters and bring them back home. I don't know if I said, but I was previously the president for the Minneapolis NAACP. I recently just transitioned out of that role last month. And I'm the founder and CEO of Don't Complain, Activate. I urge you all to check that out. But yeah, I'm just about Black liberation and fighting for our freedom, because I believe that we all still live on a plantation. One of the avenues is obviously through the education system. I told people, while it's been a struggle that our kids are out of school, it might have been one of the best things, because I want to do a mass withdrawal from the public education system anyways, because I think that it, I call it 12 years of slavery, of indoctrinating our kids and making them not feel like they are the greatness that they truly are. So really, it's about being able to pour into them in a meaningful way. I'm constantly fighting a good fight. Just tap in with me. I appreciate this opportunity and platform. We're going to keep fighting in Minnesota. There's still so much work to be done, but I will say a lot of the foundation was built. And we had our first African-American police chief, Chief Arredondo. We had our first African-American AG Keith Ellison, because of Black organizers on the ground that's been doing the work for a long time. And because Minnesota is what I call the white Wakanda, where white people, have just been thriving for so long, a lot of the time the Black people in Minnesota doing the work don't really get eyes and attention. And so I urge you all to connect with us here in Minnesota. Grace and peace.
Yeah, thank you for that. And I mean, I never want to take this for granted. Thank you, Leslie. Thank you, everybody on the call, y'all, for doing this work, y'all. Because like Kalila said earlier, this is tiring, this is long, and that's why it's called a struggle, right? That's why we're in this Black freedom struggle. So Leslie, everybody on the call, thank you for doing the work. Next, we will go to actually one of our IBFA members, Jamila. You ready?
Yes.
All right.
Go ahead, Jamila. So look, Jamila, look, I don't really want to talk. She texting me right now, look, I be outside, but I don't really be doing no talking. I think it's important for people like Jamila, who actually do the work, who do coalition building, who work with all kinds of people. And she like, no matter what, I'm gonna show up for my people. So please, if you
and one more plug, right? So just to show y'all how this stuff works too, right? So I went to Minneapolis. When I came back, Tori went to Louisville, but way we work within the IBFA, hopefully y'all found out more about the IBFA. But Mama Julia actually went to Louisville, came back, but then Tori went to Louisville. When Tori got locked up, it was me, Jamila, and Mama Julia working in the background while trying to work on Tori being locked up in Louisville. So that just shows how all these moving parts are working together. So shout out for Jamila. Jamila was on it too, yo. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn it on to you, Jamila.
Okay, so I'm in Chicago, first of all. I moved here. I've only been here about 5 years. I met Tori in 2014. I guess when everything happened with Ferguson, I was real active on Twitter and everything. And I was just kind of watching. And I was like, okay, I just couldn't stay. I was in Oklahoma City at the time. I couldn't stay. So I ended up going the first week that they had the curfew and everything. Ended up meeting Tori and instantly just connected. Ever since then, I was like, I don't care. I'm following whatever you do. And that's just been what it was from hands up to now. So now being in Chicago, I was here for Laquan McDonald. Everything happened so randomly, me moving to Chicago. I was working and I just so happened to get fired. Cool, got fired from my job, got unemployment. But the week I got fired, it was a really big protest for the taste of Chicago. And it was a protest for everything that had happened. It was right after Philando. And so we were just outside a lot during the time. So I don't know. I kind of stumbled upon the activists in Chicago, just I saw something about a protest, showed up, and the person that I am, I always kind of end up on the front lines. I don't know how, even if I don't know nobody, I always end up being in the front with everybody that is running shit. So it's I ended up meeting everybody. We could get arrested. I did. I never get arrested. Part of my protest is not going to jail. And I have a degree in corrections and criminal justice. So I kind of use that to my advantage. I know what to do, how far to push everything. So I ain't going to jail. I do a lot, but I ain't going to jail. So I always am helping. Jamal Green had got arrested. I help with getting him connected and getting him out of jail. And then even after that, so this year, we kind of had stopped after Laquan McDonald and everything. The activists in Chicago kind of died down. This summer, when everything started happening with the protest, I ain't even going into it, but I don't really rock with a lot of some of the popular activists in Chicago. The the populist activists that a lot of people know, the local activists don't rock with a lot here. So we kind of have fallen back. When the protest and the uprising started, I literally was just riding around and saw a group of Black people in the park. And it was just a sign at the park that said, like, let us live. So I just pulled in there. Happened to be the local coalition of activists, right? So I stumbled upon them. We're having like a little powwow, trying to meet, see what we can do to help. This is in the middle of the riots, though, in middle of them. Because, you know, the second day of the riots in Chicago started like at 11 o'clock in the morning. So we out there just trying to figure out how we can help, what we can do as a community to help after the riots is over, what we can do. During this, we get a call like in Hyde Park, which is like an upscale Black part of Chicago, if you don't know. It was a little protest and the police had everybody cornered. So we all leave where we are and go to help all the activists there. And it was like we were there 5 minutes and all hell broke loose. Like it ended up all on the news. I don't know if y'all know Malcolm. He was arrested. And this year, I don't know. The reason why I didn't want to, this year for me, activism has kind of changed for me. Like during that, they was beating on Malcolm. And at the time, I didn't know what to do. So I like just threw myself over him to make the police stop hitting him. And it was like just a moment. So since then, though, my kid's father has passed. So I don't know, everything for me has changed. Like I've always been able to move. Like I'm good. If anything ever happens to me, my kids got their dad. Everything is good. I had nothing to worry about. So now I'm in a limbo place because I don't know how to not fight for my people. I don't know how to pull back. I don't know how to not be on the front lines. I don't know how to not do that if I'm out there. And I don't know. I'm just I don't know if I can't do that. I can't be the sacrifice that I have always been able to be. So I don't know. I don't know. That's why I didn't want to talk. I'm just in a limbo, a weird place right now with my activism, trying to figure out how and what I can do at this point to help and still be able to be here for my kids. So I don't know. That's all. I don't have much to say.
Jamila, that's what I always appreciate about you is that you're gonna keep it real, right? And I think that takes courage and strength to be able to say that. So instead of people fronting and acting like whatever way they act and perform, you keeping it real. And I appreciate that honesty. I'm sure others would. Tori, you can chime in if you want to share anything, but that honesty goes a lot further to us getting free instead of the performances that, like you called out, that you see in a lot of activism from all the people who's been on camera.
Yeah.
So thank you for sharing. Thank you for your vulnerability. And thank you for your work, because you are working. Don't act like you ain't doing anything. So thank you for that.
Thank
you. All right.
you.
Hey, Rue, you ready?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Peace and light. What's going on, all y'all? I appreciate y'all inviting me, Tori. Man, before I don't even know where to start, boy. I'm gonna start is how I know Tori. So, man, Mike Brown, man, I wasn't an activist, I was just at work. I heard something on the radio about, a brother laying in the street. So I'm like, oh man, I gotta slide over here. And the reason why I say that because I got beat by the police when I was 18, So I got a thing with them anyway. So, so I went out there. Man, it was live. I mean, everybody out. I felt the energy. Man, let me say one thing too, man. Like one thing about St. Louis and Ferguson, man, it was a time, and I know Tori can attest for this, and Mama Julia and other people like that, man. It wasn't no crime for like 2-3 weeks. Like when everybody was solid out there for that first summer, everybody together, and then they had some random made up that black Charger going around the city shooting people, acting like it's drive-bys and all that. So that kicked everything up. But man, it was real unity there. I felt real energy there. So that's when I got turned on to activism, really. So I was out there day one, front lines, and I went to Standing Rock. That was what, 2015, I believe. I think that was 2015. We went twice that year. And that was for the Dakota Access Pipeline. Went out there. That was a good experience on just a different, we got our protesting in Ferguson, that was new to us. So we was outside doing all type of stuff, trying to figure it out, just emotionally hurt, right? So then you go to Standing Rock, it's different. They put the spiritual aspect to it. It's still the same fight, but they got the spiritual connection with it, with the sage and all that stuff, and just different. Like, it's no media up there. So, they would shoot people with bear gas. I ain't never heard of no bear gas, but they were shooting that. They still doing the road buzz and all that. Having people locked up in some dog kennels, having them locked up in there, stuff like that. Crazy. Didn't get no media attention for real. Not that in depth with that. But that was a spiritual awakening for me, just because of the things we experienced there. And that's a whole different conversation down that line. But that really opened me up to a spiritual uniqueness, I say. So that's that background right there. Now, so I started off a frontline protester. I kind of shift what I do for my people now, and like the sister just got off. I appreciate her honesty as well. I just wasn't with the protesting thing anymore. I saw a lot of fakeness. And there's some real people in this too, but there's a lot of fakeness too. And I ain't with that. I ain't cut that type of cloth. So I'd rather just fall back, and just do something else, because it's just a lot of, we can go back to Black Lives Matter, how they hijacked the movement and all that on some real stuff for real, and and all that. But that's a whole other road. That's another rabbit hole go down to as well. But I kind of fell back on that. So so I got to the food justice. So I am the founder and owner of Hayward Urban Farming. A little background on my working experience. I did teach in the St. Louis Public School District for 6 years. I was a PE teacher. I got a master's in management. Tried that route, but they either said I was overqualified, not enough experience, So one day when I got into food and and put it together with my people, well, basically what we do is we supply sustainable, healthy food choices for food apartheid communities. So what I mean by food apartheid, we all heard about food desert, but food desert is naturally done. Food apartheid is deliberately done. So I believe they deliberately put 1,000 gas stations on every corner, Family Dollars, Chinese, we call them the Chinamen, but all that different stuff everywhere on purpose, and food is important, food is for your energy, it's for your spirit, it gets you going, there's more to it than just, than just eating. So I think that's really important for our community. So that's the route I took. I stumbled across this route because this one day I wanted to, get some, some fresh food. We got a couple local, I guess, farmers markets here, but they not in our community. They where the, where the white people live. So I went to the local grocery store. We got a Snooks up here. So went to the local grocery store in my hood. It wasn't even nothing, man. You went in there, it was pitiful. Like, it wasn't a big section. The produce looked dry, and then I'm like, okay. So let me go to another grocery store, same food, same chain, but a different location. So I went to another one. It was like I say, we call it Midtown, on Linden. Went over there. That was a little better. Not quite what I expected, but it was better. Then I went to Clayton. Went out there. I was like, damn, they got abundance of everything. Big old section, everything looked beautiful. It was plentiful. I'm like, okay. So I'm like, let's get one more step. So I went out to West County, to the suburbs. Went out there. It didn't even look like a Snooks. No, on the outside, you're like, is this even a grocery store? Just the architect structure. You go in, they got people cooking sushi, they got a winery. I'm like, this Snooks? Like, man, let me do that shit where I'm at. So I'm like, all right, so I'm gonna do something about it. And I did. I'm the type of person, I put my mind to it, I'm gonna do it. You know what I mean? So that's what I did. So I started manifesting, this is about 2017. So I started manifesting. And when I be in my manifesting, I'm spiritual, so I'm also a Reiki master too, by the way. I am a spiritual warlock. You know what I mean? I do some sage, but I bust your head too. So that's what that is. So so I manifested. I mean, sit on the porch. I looked at. It was an open lot across the street from my house. I looked at. I manifest. I can smell the flowers over there. You know what I mean? I can feel the hair going through. Feel the wind going through the hair on my arm. That's how in detail it was my manifestation. It was a blessing. So I just started growing food. Then people start coming by asking me questions. I'm like, okay. So, I got a download like, dang, man, I could do something with this, Man, people weren't even speaking to me over there. You know what I'm saying? Not everybody know who I am over there. man, it's a real togetherness over there, man. I started with 12,000 square feet, 2018. I got 3 acres now. You know what I mean? So, you know, so I really, and what I mean with my people is like, I'm there, I'm in tune with them, you know. They come, man, you can see the energy over there, man. It's really contagious, you know. And I'm educating them, teaching them how to grow food, the importance of it, how to make different tinctures, you know, because, you know, I don't take medicine. I ain't took medicine over 5 years. You know, I make my own tinctures out of plants, you know, stuff that come from the ground. So my thing is just with this, dealing with just our people, just get them educated on making their own medicines, you know what I'm saying, making their own tinctures, growing their own food, community economics. This year's my first year hiring 2 people from the community. One brother was at Covenant House, was the homeless shelter for young adults, 15 to 21. He worked for me. He was another brother. He actually was he's a recovering heroin addict, actually. So I started a drug rehabilitation program I even tried. You know, he was coming through, kept asking me, can he work? Kind of pushed him off at first, to be honest. Then, then the spirit told me, man, you know what, mess with him. So I rocked with him. And man, he's one of my best workers, you know. Now I got some funds from Accelerator, $50,000. So that's enough for me to hire me 3 more full-time workers. Also to buy me a bus. I want to create a mobile farmers market as well. And that's just a little spiel about me and what I'm doing. I'm not out there on the front line with the pros and stuff. Like I back all that, you know, I support it. I buy you what you need to go and do what you got to do. But holler at me when it's time to jump off the porch, or you trying to teach these kids. If you ain't teach the kids jumping off the porch, I ain't with it. So that's what it is.
Hey, Ru, that's dope, bro. We really appreciate you sharing. DeMonte, hopefully you ready. But as we transition, hopefully y'all hear this. Because what I've seen, I've been fortunate enough to travel. It sounds like a lot of you all have been able to travel too. But what Heru talked about, what he experienced right there in St. Louis, I experienced in Richmond when I went out to Minneapolis, talked to people in Minneapolis, they going through the same thing. And so hopefully y'all can see the connections, y'all. And hopefully I'm hoping that y'all vision is getting bigger even through this call, because the point is to get to a point where it's not just Heru working in St. Louis, Natasha working in her area, Keon working in his area, but we all working together to dismantle white supremacy. Y'all see that? So Heru, thank you. DeMonte, you ready? DeMonte, you ready? I bet. No, we can't hear you. You're not muted, but we can't hear you.
Nope. DeMonte got a mic.
He got a whole setup. You see that joint, right?
He do music though. He sent some beats over.
We still can't hear you, DeMonte.
All right.
You want to go to? He gonna try one more thing. Let's try this. If not, we can go to Keon.
Yeah, let's go.
Can you hear me? Can y'all hear
Say
me?
that again?
Can you hear me?
Yep, there we go.
All right, cool. Yeah, my fault, y'all. Now I'm loud. I can hear myself now. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So peace, y'all. My name is DeMonte. I heard somebody say earlier they were from the Carolinas. I'm from the Carolinas. Go Geechee boy. You see the flag over the shoulder. What's up to y'all boy in Charleston, the Carolinas? My little country people, them. Yeah, I met Tori outside. I think I can't remember the first time. I think the first time I ran into him might have been Ferguson with my big homie Sherelle Brown, who's from my hometown, Laurinburg, North Carolina. I grew up with Sherelle, and Sherelle like pretty much had me running around too outside. So with the Dream Defenders and everything back in the day when that was kicking off, like I was a youngin' when I jumped off the porch, like 15, 16, trying to chase around all the older folks, seeing what was happening. And because of that, I somehow got in the mix in North Carolina. So I started rocking with people in Ohio. Rest in peace, Marshawn. Really got active in the work that was happening. Shout out to James Hayes, Tiffany Lofton, Like I can go on and on about the people that like, you know, we kind of got connected around, but somehow or another are always ended up around Tory in some way, somehow, randomly. I think I might have been, we were in Cleveland, just minding our business randomly in Cleveland. And here comes Tef Poe and Tory, just out of nowhere on the street corner somewhere, like getting everybody lit with chants at like 2:00 in the morning. You know what I mean? And like it was this, like, it was that same Ferguson, like pure energy. And that's the energy that we had here in North Carolina that was rocking at the time. So shout out to my people in Charlotte, whether that be the people from the tribe or Bree Newsome or, you know, the folks that was out here with the Charlotte Uprising. So whether that be Glow or Ashley, any of my folks over there, that was, or Ash, my fault, excuse me, for doing all the work over there in Charlotte. Even to the Mel's Place, which I see Hero Urban Farms was talking about, sort of like the food apartheid. I'd love to give homage to Baba Reggie and my elders over there in Charlotte that are doing that work with the Mel's Place, which is a male mentoring program where they take kids 8 to 18. They strengthen them with the pillars of manhood, physical fitness. Also, they have like thousands of I guess what, feet or acreage or whatever for planting. So they usually do all the traditional like cultural crops, whether it's the green leafy vegetables, squash, okra, all of those good things. But yeah, here in North Carolina, what I personally do, I'm an organizer as well as a musician. I started off organizing, you know, with the NAACP through the Reverend Barber era here in North Carolina. From there, I've gotten more in depth with working in the community. During this past election, I was the hiring director for Vote Blue, in which we hired organizers to, or canvassers really, to do like canvas safe or COVID safe canvassing, and paid them like $25 an hour with hazard pay, paid time off, like really radical ways of distributing resources to people that are working on campaigns, which is rare. Like back when I started doing work around like elections and local elections, they really, you know, were asking people to go out there and do it for free. If you ask the Democratic Party, they gonna get you to go out there and knock doors for free. And we thought that that's like preposterous for the Democratic Party to ask our people. More than likely is going to be middle-aged Black folks that are going to be more involved in knocking these doors and canvassing. We thought it was preposterous to let them fall into their hands, really, and let these folks risk their health and not do anything safely and not pay these people, or give them chances, you know, to have like adequate insurance or whatever it may be. So that's where we stepped in. We were able to hire people in North Carolina, Georgia, Michigan, and Pennsylvania. And like the local races that we were really targeting, also somehow or another made a difference in a lot of these major counties that had an impact with the national big ticket races. If anybody wants some beats, Tori can tell you, you can hit me up. I'm currently working on a project. I'm looking for anybody that is doing work, that is an organizer, that is looking to do some music. I'm really want to put together a tape and connect people from around the country. Me personally, I know folks that are from Ferguson, people that are from Miami, people from New York, people from Chicago, that are all doing work, that are all doing music, but we really keep it sectional and regional. I don't know, I don't really fuck with that type energy because just as an artist, I see the good in everybody, and I really want to connect and bridge these things. And we know that art has to come with the movement. Traditionally, if you look at what happened in the past and just the what's the word I'm looking for? The trajectory of our people, before we went into battle, I mean, somebody had the drums, right? Like even going forward, like my Gola ancestors, with Gola Jack and the Stono Rebellion, right? Like there was a reason why the white folks in South Carolina banned the drum, and wouldn't allow us to have the Congo, or the djembe, and that they knew that if we were able to connect with the language of music, that language of music was one that we used to drill for military type tactics. It was a spiritual, cultural thing. And I think that there is nothing more radical and revolutionary than reclaiming our music. They've hijacked country, they've hijacked the blues, they've hijacked rock and roll, they hijacked gospel, they hijacked hip hop. everything, right? Like we invented the banjo, like all of that is our music. So there is nothing more radical and revolutionary when it comes to like culture right now that we can like, you know, with a low barrier of entry to get into than like reclaiming our music, no matter what form it is. If you want to do trap, you do trap. If you want to Lecrae it out, Lecrae it out. And speaking of, Tori asked me to talk about Cole coming out to Fayetteville. I'm watching to see like if when I should rap. But J. Cole coming out to Fayetteville for the protest, and just about what happened after that. I don't know if anybody watched what happened, but Fayetteville this summer, and in Raleigh, actually around the Carolinas, after George Floyd, shit really went up. They burnt down the old slave market that was in downtown Fayetteville that was like a tourist attraction that people like really take pictures in front of when they get engaged, and all kinds of other like foul shit. This person, you know, this personal eyesore in Fayetteville, North Carolina, somehow or another caught fire. You know, I think it was lightning, but they allege that some young men set fire to this building, right? And the people that they allege to have done this, they're really like being hit with serious charges. Like the Department of, I guess, the investigators here in North Carolina have scoured the area for cameras and looking for all the resources that they can to personally get this person or to get these people. So I even have a homeboy that wasn't involved in this that's locked up right now that's like facing some serious time, and he was nowhere in the situation. So if y'all can, man, keep an eye out what's happening in North Carolina.
Natasha, you might need you.
Yeah, because I mean, I hate to say it like this, but like people don't think about, y'all were talking about the big name protesters in Chicago, like that brings a lot of heat. People like J. Cole, people like Kendrick Lamar, all these folks that come out of these actions, these direct actions, like, oh man, you don't think that like the cops are going to like love to make an example out of y'all? Like that brings a lot of heat on the other people. So I know that we want them to come out to the front line and like we applaud them for getting out in the streets and being with the people. But look, man, y'all can get people's head cracked even motherfucking harder by bringing them out there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's all I gotta say, y'all. I'm sorry. If anybody want to connect with me, I'm gonna give y'all my email is DeMonte Alford, spelled like y'all it is on the screen, @gmail.
Yo, that was fire, bro. We appreciate you. We thank you for your time, man.
Appreciate y'all, man.
So next we can go to Keon, close it out with Preston, and then do the questions. Keon, you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All
right. So yeah, I'm Keon. I'm in Mobile, down the bottom of Alabama, and you know, I think I go back to when I met Tori. It was at Kiki Waffle House protest when he came down here. You know, it was a pretty big, decent showing. It was a lot going on for me at the moment because I was like engaged in prison abolition work. Like I work for the Ordinary People Society, but I'm also a co-founder of MAD along with Zaza and Bomani. So yeah, they're my people. That's a squad, and you know we kind of developed this whole political education, you know, self-determination ideology. Like our belief set is, you know, we gonna define everything that we need to know, what our kids gonna learn, what our kids gonna ingest, because can't nobody tell us what's best for us because we the people who gonna make it out of this. Like, there's no white solutions that's gonna come for, you know, Black problems at the end of the day. And I started.
Bro, say that again, yo.
Yeah, so it's no white solution gonna come for these Black problems we got. Like, just plain and simple. But you know, I left Mobile at the beginning of 2020. So the first about 8 months, I didn't get to see. I was actually in Durham for, you know, the George Floyd protest and all that. I just went up there and dealt with my folks at Spirit House, learning some harm-free zone tactics, just trying to figure out a different way to do this organizing because I seen it done wrong so many times. And I just wanted to get a new outlook. But when I came back, the first thing I noticed was all it was folks trying to tell us what we needed, how to do mutual aid for us when don't nobody know our community better than us. So I set up a food distribution program with a couple of comrades, and we used the church, we used their funds, and we just used our labor to put together food boxes and distribute it to our people. because what we saw was an incoming homelessness crisis to the projects because they wanted to gentrify our people and move in a fucking airport. And, you know, we had to be on top of it because we knew when nobody gonna give a damn about our folks except for us at the end of the day. So that's been the concentration of most of my work. But we do have comrades that do political education as far as study groups and stuff like that. But, you know, mostly what I'm focusing on is the logistics behind getting this food delivered, make sure my people have what they need in the moment, because we know that ain't nobody gonna do the survival programs like us. And that's pretty much all I got.
Bro, we appreciate you, man. We really do, man. I hope everybody else feeling the same energy that I'm feeling. That's the weird part about Zone. We can't really share the energy. But y'all, we about to get free. we about to get free. All right, so thank you, Keon. Preston, you gonna close it out, then we can go to questions.
Yo, peace and love, everybody, yo. I had to get up and pace, man, because like everybody speaking is just making me energized right now. Peace to everybody, bro. So I grew up, a little background on me. I grew up in the backwoods of Virginia. And I went out to college in Williamsburg. That's how I met Travis. Travis became a great friend and also a mentor, role model. Really got me, really got me to take some anger and frustration that I had inside and start doing something positive with it instead of just, sitting around mad all the time. He put me onto books and things like that. Thank you, Travis. And then he brought me out actually on a whim out of nowhere. Like one week, he just hit me up. He said, yo, I'm going to St. Louis. Do you want to come with me? And I was like, I'm gonna have to, and then something told me, nah, you just got to go with that, man. So I went with him and I met Tori and Mama Julia. And I ended up joining the IBFA. So I thank you for that, Travis. And I thank Tori and Mama Julia for having me on here. So this year's been hard, obviously, for COVID. It's also been hard for me personally. So I'm a musician and artist, first and foremost. I've been dealing with carpal tunnel since January. So, I use my hands. I make beats, play guitar. I use my hands for everything. We got two hands for a reason. And at the time that the protest jumped off, I was going through the worst of it. So I wasn't able to make any of my art. That's how I get my emotion out. That's how I get my feelings and my thoughts out. And so I was in a depression, but then the protest popped off. So when I was in Richmond, I went for probably a month and a half straight. I was just out there for everything. Not even on I'm not a leader, I didn't do the organizing. I was just there as a body, providing support. We were occupying different areas of the city. We were demanding defunding of the police. We were demanding removal of the Confederate statues. Whole lot of shit. And after a while of being out there, it took a toll. I ended up losing about 20 to 25 pounds just because of my carpal tunnel and also, all the marching and just being outside. And then, after a while, I started to notice some themes running through each of the protests. The people that were leading were not, they might have been well-intentioned, but they were not speaking to the people in a way that I felt was constructive. They were really using hyper intellectual terms. They were really, honestly, kind of divisive as a cisgender, heterosexual Black male. A lot of the rhetoric that was happening just wasn't connecting with me. And it was actually making me feel more divided from the people that were supposed to be leading. And I started to think, we had a lot of white people, Richmond's a college town. We got VCU right there. We got University of Richmond right there. So, I started to peep that like a lot of these leaders were using rhetoric that white students would connect with, if that makes sense. Like they started using very like theoretical language and stuff. And I remember standing in the crowd one time and, I was just standing with some regular Black people, Black men and women. And people were like, yo, what are they talking about? Like after a minute, like people were really looking side to side, like, what are they talking about? And I remember standing there and I was just getting more and more depressed and angry because I was like, yo, this is not how this should be going. So Jamila, I can connect with you on that fact. I started getting real just jaded about everything. And then also my physical health was not where it should be. So I stopped going outside and I kind of retreated into myself. As an artist, you know, I spent a lot of time in a cave anyway, just making stuff. So I retreated back. And the one thing that I could do was read. So I started reading all different books. I started reading Black psychology books. I got into Wade Noble's, Marimba Ani. I'm actually reading this book called Yuru right now. I read Black Fire, Amiri Baraka, Larry Neal, all these people. And, you know, I started to realize that my art is I mean, I already knew this, but it just reaffirmed my belief that my art can make a real difference. I can really put my emotion in my art and I can really reflect things that I feel and that other people feel through my art. So I started, as my carpal tunnel started getting better, I started making art and just trying to get my feelings out. But I had friends that, you know, thankfully my ancestors, whoever's up there watching me, there were multiple protests I was at where I just barely escaped, you know, the tear gas and the rubber bullets and stuff. I had friends who were arrested, you know, in groups. I had friends that were brutalized and everything. And something that was interesting to me that was happening is while all this divisiveness was going on from the so-called leaders of the different, you know, protests and things, the people that were actually making the most difference were just groups that had come together while they were in prison, just people that didn't know each other before, that like came out of jail, you know, came out of that little situation that they were in, and people started forming groups. My friend joined a group called something, I think the Richmond 24. It was just a group of people that happened to be in the same cell at the same time. And so there's a lot of that like solidarity amongst regular folks going on in Richmond too. But I think overall, like the energy of things began to die down. And because people could see, you know, people could see that these leaders were starting to use the movement for personal gain. At least that's how I felt. People were starting to use the movement for personal gain. People were getting podcasts and shit. People were getting mad placements in places. Meanwhile, you know, the people, like for instance, right, like tell me how you're going to take all these photos in the front of the protest. You're taking all these photos, posting them everywhere on Instagram. Your fist is up. You got, you know, multiple people with cameras surrounding you, taking pictures of you in front of the protest, and you don't even have a scratch on you. And I know for sure that you know, there was something went down with the police. Like that was questionable to me. So what I learned basically also is that through my reading and everything, we need a break from Western ideology, period. We need a break from Western white thought, period. It's not going to work for us. Like we need to restructure the way that we think in a big way. And so I definitely respect what Zasata was talking about earlier as far as educating our youth and empowering our youth with a different form of knowledge that they can use moving forward. And I just try to use my art to reflect that. And yeah, I mean, it's dope to, I mean, like I said, like just being in this conversation right now, like listening to everybody talk has given me energy, man. Cause it's been a hard year in a lot of different ways. But yeah, that's what I got to say.
Yo, Preston, appreciate you. First, thank you to everyone who presented, who reported back. Like y'all, we don't take it for granted. And also, I know for some people, you might be nervous about getting on the camera, but you did it. So now we're gonna go through the questions. I'm gonna take the first two organizing ones. Tori gonna do the media one. If y'all got any more, let's get those in so we can wrap this up. Because on the East Coast, it's like it's almost 10 o'clock. West Coast is a little bit earlier. So I'm gonna take two of the earlier organizing questions were, one, how do you organize with folk who don't know they ain't free? And then how can we connect for 2021? Basically who needs support now. So first, how do you organize with folk who don't know they ain't free? So part of the answer has already been given on this report back, right? Because so much of our thinking has been Europeanized, right? And they said basically, so much of our thinking is white, right? And because our thinking is white, that's what's leading to people thinking that they ain't free. And we so messed up, y'all, that some people not only thinking that they not free, but some people thinking, some black folks think they got it good. Right? They eating high on the hog. What Malcolm said, they eating high on the hog, right? So how do we organize with those folks, right? This is why. So Asada Shakur said, right? A lot of people don't like this, but a struggle is a struggle, right? This is a struggle, right? So this takes time, energy, effort, depth, right? It takes investment. And so my first response is this. First, recognizing where are we at with the movement, right? So I would say initially, I would respond by saying, let's build with people who already recognize that we ain't free, right? Let's start there. So after we start there, right, and we have a strong foundation, right, that we're connected to with each other, then as a group, we can reach out to those who don't realize they ain't free, right? Because what really needs to happen is there needs to be a decolonization of that mind, right? So if that mind is decolonized and they can see the truth, that decolonization process, that movement from white to black is basically going to require drenching, filling their mind with blackness, right? Because right now, from the media to school, like we saw in education, all they getting is white. And we're saying, look, we need to just come and show them, look, black is dope, black is beautiful. Somebody said it earlier, we are African. We're African people. We're African people living in a strange and foreign land. And Africa is dope. And that's our true identity. So this whole process, so to answer your question, let me say as clear as possible. Let's not start there, right? Let's build with like-minded people first. And after we built and we're strong, then we can reach out to those people who don't recognize they're not free. And so then that's how 2021. Look, I can't hold any qualms about this. The way we can connect with 2021, 4 letters, IBFA, right? This is the International Black Freedom Alliance. That's the last word of that, alliance. We want to be a vanguard movement that brings people, grassroots organizers, that brings black, let me be as clear as possible. We are black people, a black organization trying to get black people free. So we want to use black thinking. Look, I'm trying to say black as many ways as possible. Black, unapologetically black. So we're saying IBFA want to connect people, connect black people to get black people free. So Tori, you can wrap up with that, but we're gonna have another call on January the 3rd. So Tori, take over for the next question.
The next question, and Sister Tracy just responded. She said she found out about the call through Tori.
Okay.
Who runs Context Media. For those who don't know, like Trevor said, we black, and that's really our main concern. We're not really concerned with trying to convince people right now of anything other than that. That's why Hayru was shaking his head. Yeah, when Preston was talking. I know for me, as a person who organizes the protests, who you probably gonna see at the protests in the front, on the side of doing all that, I figured out really that really through these 6 years that you can't have freedom or success or any of those things unless it's holistic. And so I remember Hayru coming out to the protest with a drum. Okay, he didn't say that though. We came out with a drum. We used to beat the drum. And so when DeMonte talk about the music and having a soundtrack to that, we also have to understand that if Brother Torrin Walker come out with the camera and can get an interview, and then that can spread to our people. You know, we don't have that in St. Louis, what Sister Natasha does, which we don't have Black lawyers doing some super Black, you know, legal things. I'm not gonna lie to you. We got about 2, and the rest of the Negroes work for white people, and they love it there, and I hate it. You know, if I'm gonna go get some fruit or something, I'm gonna go get it from Heru. I didn't get to get my my watermelon, and I'm a little upset about that. But we'll talk about that next year. For me, we have to build a movement, and so that's why we've been really being intentional in bringing people in and really understanding, like, how do we build a movement? You know, I think most people know my background was really in Ferguson, and I did what I was supposed to do. I tried to get with Black people who said that they was with it, and so I got with some Black Lives Matter people, some Black people all across the country. At the time, I didn't even know when the Black Lives Matter was. I saw Black people show up in honesty, and I did the same. And so from there, they wasn't who they said they were. I got to keep it a buck. And when we have this deeper understanding of what that is, it don't mean that I hate you. I don't hate you because you don't know that you Black. You know, I don't hate you that you go to the protest and talk that white folks stuff. You know, being a socialist is cool. Being Pan-African is better. You know, talking, you know, being Black led is cool, but being all Black is better. And so we have to center ourselves around doing that, you know, and being that and living that every day. So I appreciate everybody. You know, our point and focus of this call is to bring people I knew and Travis knew and other people knew from around the country to really say, what if we actually built an organization that was a vanguard organization and built a movement that could actually deliver what we're talking about? You know, we have a legal expert here. We have somebody who could, you know, Natasha already do that. It would be nothing for us to say, hey, all right, look, this what it's gonna look like, right? I know you got your law thing, so let's make it advantageous for you. We're gonna go here, you're gonna represent these people. When we had these things in Missouri, we're gonna go to Natasha because you know she got it in the state of Missouri. She's gonna go across the state and she's gonna organize other lawyers to do this collective of things. So then when something happened in St. Louis or Hazelwood or Haytime, Missouri, or Springfield, we all on one accord. It'd be nothing to send Brother Heru down to Alabama with some other growers and then send them up to Memphis and do the urban guard. And then we go back up to North and South Dakota, which our organization has been gifted land through me and Heru's struggle. You know, we got criticism, you know, I appreciate it. For, you know, why y'all Black folk going up there? You know, I appreciate the criticism. I take all of it. But it can yield something if we do something with it. And so if we connect the artists and the attorneys and the activists and the organizers and the academics all together, we can create our own movement. A movement that we really understand to have integrity and Blackness at the core and the foundation. You know, and so I don't want to dribble the ball too much. If anybody got any questions, if they want to direct it to anybody or just throw it to the floor, let's have a little conversation over the next 10, 15 minutes.
Yeah, I just want to reiterate toward your point about a movement, y'all. Like, and I think what I noticed from the call, and me and Tori and Mama Julia, I always say, like, everything is theoretical until it's practical, right? Like everything sounds good until we actually do it. And this call showed me, like, I had a slight, I saw the vision, but as I heard Natasha, Heru, Keon, Kalila, everybody share, it materialized for me in such a way that I'm like, yo, imagine if we could all work together. And I'm hoping y'all can see that same thing, right? Like, So the question of next steps, as an IBFA, that's what organizers organize, right? So we want to organize, like hopefully this call can be a way to see, look, just imagine if we could all work together, right? So a tangible next step would be, saying, look, I want to work with other people on this call as an alliance, as a part of the movement. The movement that didn't start with slavery, that started with our African ancestors who's been fighting to get free. So that's a tangible next step. If you saying, look, like it's some dope other people on this call, people doing the work, people ain't faking. You see people being real here, people being vulnerable, people sharing their lives. Like, this is where it's at, And so the other dope part, hopefully y'all see this, y'all met Tori, but now y'all met other people who's a part of the IBFA, y'all. And so so with that, like Tori said, he'll pull up, I'll pull up too. And I can grab Preston and I can grab Mama Julie. Look, we'll pull up to your city, and we'll organize, and we'll be right there on the ground, because that's what we need to get free.
Yo, Travis.
Yeah.
Yo, I think it's important just to stress that, like, we don't really have to reinvent the wheel. Like, our ancestors have given us so much material, so much examples and material to go off of, you know what I'm saying? And they're with us, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's a big group effort, like, and it's important to remember that, and to not like get depressed thinking we're doing this work alone, you know what I'm saying?
And that's the point to me of the call. Next week on January 3rd, we're gonna have next Sunday, we're gonna have a same call. We really want to build a foundation to a movement. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm very intentional. I don't have that much time to waste. I felt like a lot of my time from Ferguson to now, it was really dope. I had some great moments. I've been some places. I drove home in a blizzard with Hey Roo. It took 15 hours, and 7 of them we were sliding on ice. I'm not gonna lie to you. We lost the drive shaft to the truck. It was the most craziest, and we went twice. I'm not gonna lie to you. And it was a straight blizzard. We couldn't see nothing. And I'd had some of the most beautifulest moments in my life, waking up next to the Great Zambezi River in Zambia. I would like to organize those things to collectively. And so our next call next Sunday is this. We want to lay out, like Preston said, our 4 pathways of how we get free. And so we not reinventing the wheel. We just want to complete, advance, or dead our argument. We either want to evolve it to a pathway that majority of our people should be going on or not. All of it is first rooted in that we are Black or African. I use it as interchangeable. It's a social economic identification, but I know I'm from Africa. Now we can gangbang on the set later on or anything, but I know where I'm from. I don't know when my people left Africa and came here and left and had a name named Yanga or Mansa Musa. And I don't know how the people over here received that. That's not my concern. My concern is that all of us are here have a shared history. And so we break our 4 philosophy down, and we will go into depth next Sunday. We have the philosophy of the ballot, the bullet, the buck, and the boat. And so over the last 50 to 100 years, we heard Black people talk. I heard people talk about what we need to do, should do, could, would, and all that. But we said, look, let's sit down for this entire year of 2020 and figure out a way that we do that. So we hear everybody talk about voting. And so we said that we need a philosophy around voting. And we called it the philosophy of the ballot, in which we want to organize 5 to 7 million Black people in the United States of America to vote as a block. We will be voting not for progress, not for liberalism, not for trinkets and crumbs. We were talking about reparations, separation, and sovereignty. We want to be clear. Black people are deserving of something. We ain't saying all or nothing. I take my reparations in pieces if you give it to me. But I need you to say up front that you're going to give us that. And we want to organize that in city, state to state, and across the country. And as an international collective, we want to also go outside the country and figure out how can we create coalitions around reparations from here to the Caribbean, to the continent, to our brothers and sisters in Africa. And that entails a lot of people organizing what we want, not what they say we deserve, not what Biden thinks possible, but what Black people want to do. Next is what we saw, the bullet, what Malcolm said, the ballot order bullet. And what we see is the bullet is really a Black Panther strategy. And so we want to create these program services, have farms and schools and healing homes as a grassroots network across the entire globe of Black people being a program and service providers for each other. We got to cut the white missionary work out. When I go to the law clinic, it got to be Natasha. It got to be somebody from my hood and eat what I eat and live the way I live, right? And that person is rooted in a lived experience. And like Brother Keon said, Black problems deserve Black solutions. And we need Black practitioners to do it, right? The third is a key part, and we want to argue about this part because I know Negroes gonna say it's capitalism. It's the philosophy of the buck. There's no way that Black people have $1.3 trillion, that Black people or African people come from the richest continent on the earth, and we ain't got 5 nickels to rub together. We ain't got no boats. We don't have any economic infrastructure where we close the market and we monopolize it. We may rap, we may make beats, we may sing, we own the masters all the time. We may be the people who are supplying all the Amazon products. We need our own Amazon. And so we want to cultivate 100,000 Black people to spend $100 each month with each other. We've done some of that in the Black Wall Street group already and on Facebook, but we want to expand that group to 100,000 and then break them off into city, state to state, so we can all be in the same region spending that money. We also want to take that 100,000 people to put $10 in a pot, what we call the Black Freedom Fund. That Black Freedom Fund will be distributed not between just IBFA chapters and branches, but everything that's pro-Black and an ideology that's pushing Black freedom. And so we need our own media, like Torrin, he do his own media. We need to fund that. The things like the Chicago Defenders, the oldest Black liberation newspaper in the country that's still surviving today, is on his deathbed. We just watched for $14 million, a brother bought Ebony Media for only $14 million. But if he had 1 million people putting $10 in a pot, we would have bought that ourselves. So we would control the imagery of ourselves. We can control the fishing and the forming ourselves. But if we group economic our way there, it's not capitalism. It's Ubuntu. It's Black people saying us. And we use our money as a tool for us and a weapon against our enemy. Last but not least is something that people have nostalgia around, but we don't have a real blueprint. And that's the philosophy of the boat. And so I know I ain't gonna be here for the rest of my life. It's too damn cold. I don't like snow. It's too many goddamn white folk. And so I want a plan to create a plan to go back to Africa for those who want to go back. Not only go back, but we need to build up Africa as a strong base. Like Malcolm said, they used to say you don't have a Chinaman's chance. They don't say that no more because China is strong and the Chinese back other Chinese. They so strong that they can send their people around the world to execute a plan and a vision for the strength of China and Chinese people everywhere. And so we can strengthen up Africa when we go back. Before we go back, we're going to research. We're going to send delegations out so people can go there and figure those things out. And then we're going to start a process for our people to go back who do want to go back, or people that just want to go back and strengthen it up. And so we say it's only 4 logical ways we can go about that. We can organize our vote for power. We can organize our people and communities for power. We can organize our money towards power, or we can organize our base, which is Africa, as power. And if we do these 4 things simultaneously, not one or the other, 4 people, you may believe in one and the other people. We ain't got a gangbang on the set. We ain't got to argue about no tactics. You vote. I don't care if you vote. We all just say we're going to vote and we're going to move on. It's one day. You might vote 3 times in a year. That's it. Well, I'm finna argue with you all 20s. I'm not finna lose friends over election when all I gotta do is stand in line for 2-3 hours. We can move on and work on the things that I know that really needs to happen. How I'm gonna feed my people, how I'm gonna clothe my people, how I'm gonna educate my people, how I'm gonna serve my people, and I'm gonna create a culture for me, my family, and everybody that look like me. And if we work on these 4 things simultaneously, and we put each other in these groups and we work through these processes, over the next 100 days, I promise you, we'll all see solutions to police brutality, to food apartheid, to another Negro thinking representation is the key to Black liberation. We'll have these keys for us. And so that's what we're going to dive into deep next Sunday at the same time, and be it 5 o'clock on the West Coast, 8 o'clock on the East Coast, and 7 o'clock Central.
Yeah, Toy, thanks for that. Habari Ghani, I want to go ahead and we're gonna go ahead and close it out. So if anybody, y'all can go ahead and unmute yourselves, because y'all ain't gonna lie, Zoom is weird to me, y'all, because I'm like an interactive, engaging person, like feel the energy and stuff. So yeah, but Habari Ghani.
Look, 2021, my bad, 2021, we're gonna pull up together in person.
Right.
And we're gonna pull up, we're gonna have our own land. I'm like, hey, Rue, I'm manifesting this.
Right.
We're gonna have our own land. We're gonna build up our own stations. We're gonna have hill in there. You're gonna drink some of Hey Rue's Reiki water, right?
There you go.
Your mama Julia make some tea.
She gonna make some juju tea. The Tasha gonna be she gonna be training. It's gonna be Black youth streaming in all summer, learning how to be revolutionary abolition lawyers. Kalila and Dr. Travis gonna create with Dr. Aisha. They're gonna create this curriculum, right, for organizers to be politicized. Then Bomani and Keon, they're gonna create the youth curriculum, and we're gonna take this all around the country. Then Brother Vusi, who in South Africa, and Kachingwe in Zambia, and Kalea, who's in Australia, they gonna come over. And then we all gonna have a unified understanding. We're gonna all be in person though. And we're gonna feel our vibration. We ain't gonna have no shoes on. Just gonna work on the dirt. It's gonna be some good dirt. We're gonna eat good. We're gonna talk good.
We
We're gonna strategize. We're gonna laugh. And we're gonna do a little sweat. And Tori gonna have that camera for us so the world can, so Black people around the world can know what we do.
Anybody else want to share anything before we go?
I want to say something. First of all, sorry for taking the space. I just wanted to say that as an ally, I'm very happy and very excited for everything that you guys stated. Like I said, I'm sorry if I annoyed you guys with like sharing the contact, but I believe that genuinely, like if you guys would be able to do that, I can share it with all my friends and family, and that could just help many of the organizations. So I'm currently in Georgia for organizing, but I'm actually from Michigan, and so I'm not really sure of the demographics of the areas, and so that's why I'm asking. So that would be appreciated. And yeah, I'm very blessed and thankful to be in this space. Thank you so much for having me. Like I said, I can't like express it. So thank you so much.
So Rain, Tracy, did y'all want to say anything? Michael, you want to say anything? If you saying something, Tori, you muted. Are you saying something?
How about now? Can you hear me?
There we go.
Okay. Yeah, no, well, first of all, I want to thank you, and I want to thank Tori for allowing me to just sit in and just listen in to everybody's story and listen to everybody's plans for the future. I didn't really want to say too much. I just kind of wanted to sit back and soak it up. I just want to tell everybody, I think what you're doing is a really important thing. There's a lot of conversation around what do Black people do and how do Black people move in the wake of George Floyd's murder. There's a lot of media attention on that, but there's not a lot of conversation about how do we move collectively as a people. What you're seeing is people getting Vanity Fair covers, and you're seeing individuals lifting themselves up on this energy right now. And I think it's important for people to come together as groups and try to see where they disagree, where they agree, and where they can find common ground to build as a collective. So I think it's beautiful to be here. And when it's time for y'all to start moving in a way that you want attention on that, just hit me up. I'm happy to put that out there.
I bet. Well, we're gonna go ahead and close it out. I think it would be fitting just to at least do one collective Kwanzaa closing. So if anybody want to unmute. And I'm sorry for people who don't know, who may not celebrate Kwanzaa, who don't know it, the greeting is Habari Gani, and then you will reply with whatever the term, the meeting, the goal, the day is. And Mama Julie, can you pronounce day 2 for us? She's not gonna say it? Mama Julia.
She muted.
She muted.
I'm sorry, I was trying to unmute.
Are you saying, all right, pronounce it for us, then we're gonna say it together.
It is Kuji Shagulia. Kuji Shagulia.
Y'all got that?
Yeah.
Are y'all ready? Habari Gani.
Kuji Shagulia.
Habari Gani.
Kuji Shagulia.
There we go. All right, y'all. So I'm gonna go ahead and stop the recording, stop the live. I'm gonna leave the Zoom up just a